Welcome back to Growing Forward, the podcast where we bring you stories straight from the field, real insights from the people helping growers succeed every day. I'm your host, Libby Spellman, and today we're headed up to North Central Washington to talk with Luke McKee, a territory account manager with Valent USA. Luke works closely with growers, and today he's sharing what he's seeing in the field, his journey to agriculture, and how Valent is helping move agriculture forward. Luke, welcome to Growing Forward. Let's start with your story. How did you first get into agriculture?
I came to agriculture. I was born into it. My dad was a cattle rancher, a hay farmer. My granddad was an orchardist, a cattle rancher, and a hay farmer. You know, my ultimate aspiration from a young age was to be a cowboy and connected to the land in that manner, and worked really diligently to develop those skill sets and do those things. I went to college in Goodwell, Oklahoma, at Panhandle State University. And while I was there, I had a really good agronomy professor named Curtis Bench, who said that the leading impact was the cost of foodstuffs going into beef production. And that if I paid close attention, that he would work to give me an advantage by increasing yield by 15% if I would choose to pay attention. So I changed my major from beef production to agronomy, was my minor, and worked really hard to understand the contributing factor of what the land did to ultimately that conversion into protein. So, you know, I was introduced at the time to a miraculous thing called arbuscular mycorrhizae. Curtis Bench was very cognizant of improving the microbiome to improve the soil health, to improve crop yield. And that's kind of when it started with me, the things aligning that the stuff we can do agronomically can be ultimately a greater benefit to the sustainability of the land that we've been entrusted to steward.
Very cool.
That's kind of how I got here.
Yeah, very cool. You have experience on many areas of ag. So what was it about agriculture that made you want to stick with it?
Perseverance, more than anything. I love the lifestyle. I love the holistic approach to the way people in agriculture conduct themselves, and especially at the grassroots level. The thing that ag-based people have is the more holistic outlook, because they know what the cycle of life contains. They know that through good stewardship and the way that they approach it, they can augment that to not only the benefit of themselves economically, but the benefit of the society around them, and a more holistic approach to that rural lifestyle. And it's something that I endeavored to raise my children in. I've got two boys, 16 and 14. I would say the best parts or the better parts of my character have been made through that toiling and that struggle and the perseverance to achieve a higher calling for the people around me. And it takes sweat equity to really appreciate that. And there's no shortage of that in an ag-based lifestyle.
What a powerful message, and I could not agree more. I mean, it's truly inspiring. I mean, for those of you listening who maybe don't have a connection with agriculture, haven't really been involved in the field or seen that firsthand, it doesn't matter what you believe in, being involved in that, it really is inspiring. And so I think a lot of people forget how our food is raised because it's so easily available now. You go to the store, you get it from the shelf, or you need vegetables, or you need fruit. You just go to the grocery store and you go pick it up. But a lot of people forget the hard work and perseverance, to your point, that goes into all of that. So what a great answer, Luke. Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. So you grew up in ag, you went to college for ag. So explain your current role today and what your responsibilities are.
I'm a territory account manager for Valent USA. My territory is Washington State. The unique thing about the territory and the geography that I service is not only are we the apple capital of the world, but we produce, you know, around 200 other crops, including grain in the Palouse, potatoes in the Columbia Basin, onions, mint, alfalfa for feed, corn for not only grain but for silage. We're a protein builder in the form of beef production. A lot of dairy cattle here as well. Blueberries, strawberries over on the west side of the state. It's a great place because it's so agriculturally diverse. There's never a shortage of challenges or problems you can solve. So
Love it.
with and the opportunity to represent a company such as Valent, who has conventional chemistries as well as biorationals and botanical chemistries, is I get to touch every one of those crops. And the one thing that, like I said, in perseverance is you get the chance to work with your grower base and develop solutions that fit an overall arching end goal. That we're just trying to produce a better quality product, not only this year but for subsequent generations. And one of my biggest customers and their close family friends, they're going on their fifth generation of farming. The thing that we talk about, we're both third generation in my age demographic, is how we leave what we have now to our kids, and in a way that they can come in, they can assimilate and then carry that process forward. And so that's always top of mind with what I do. It's not how we make today work, but how we make tomorrow better.
You talked about the diverse crops that are in your region. How does someone, especially for those listening right now, earlier in their career, how do you even get to that point where you're able to work in all those different crops and provide solutions?
Livy, that's a really good question. It's something that I because of where I'm at in my parenting, that I think about a lot. You can't be scared to not go out and become exposed. You have to go to the places, whether it's when we're, I train horses also, and you have to go to the people that have the knowledge that you want to aspire to obtain. And so you work all the time making those correlations between what you've learned in one area and how you apply it to another, and how you ask experts in individual fields, individual crops, and then you take that back and then you pair that together with your own experience. And you can't be scared to go out and obtain that experience, because nobody's going to give it to you. It's something you have to actively seek. And so no matter what area in my life, there's always been a conscious awareness of people out there who can do it better than me, and how I can aspire to be more like them. And you can chase that on a faith-based deal. It helps if there's some baseline understanding there, but you've got to be consciously aware that there are people out there that can show you a better path, and no matter what the walk is.
Oh, I love that. What great advice for anyone listening, whether you're going to agriculture or not. That's just beautiful life advice. And you talked about your parenting, and I totally relate to that because I have two sons. One is 7 years old right now, and we talk about staying humble. That's what we call it. It's just staying humble and remembering that, like you said, there's always someone out there who knows more, has more experience, and does it better. So you just have to be open to continuing to learn throughout this life. And I think that's perfect advice for our listeners right now. So Luke, let's talk about what's happening right now in your region. What are growers really focused on this season?
It's no secret right now within all sectors of agriculture that there's that the commodity prices are tough. that input costs are tough on the grower level. Um, I don't think any uh, grower base has felt that more than large scale apple production. Right now, the the retail cost of apples is has maintained and probably lower than it was 5, 10 years ago. The input costs are are exceedingly high. So uh, we're trying to look at the opportunities that we have to be more surgical. Reduction in labor is huge because with apples, cherries, and pears, their leading cost is hand labor, and mechanizations is on the horizon, but still probably a good 10 years out before there's really a lot of commercial adoption. So what we do, what in our portfolio, what's very unique is that we have the opportunity to thin fruit. So let's say an apple has all these blossoms. Those blossoms eventually turn into fruit, and if we don't selectively reduce that crop, we're left with small sized, low quality, low color apples that the consumer doesn't want to eat. So at this time of the year, I spend, both myself and my counterpart Lisa Mom with our Sustainable Solutions group. We're going around evaluating a lot of different orchards and trying to use the tools that we have at our disposal, whether it's Maxell, Protone, Provide, or a seed, and work with growers strategically on how we implement those chemistries to not only reduce the crop load but increase the crop quality. It's a very short window. It starts right about now when we start seeing blossoms develop on the tree, until those fruitlets are just about the size of a golf ball, and that'll all happen within the next 4 or 5 weeks here.
One of the things, if anyone is taking anything away from this, please understand the science and the work that goes into this industry. I think, Luke, for listeners who maybe are in regions with apple orchards or orchards in general, can you explain a little bit about the labor, so people understand how that actually works in an orchard?
So we'll kind of walk through it winter to fall. So in the winter, what we try to do is that tree develops all spring and summer before we get there. Is it's putting on new shoot growth, new leaf or new limbs, new potential, and if we just let those trees develop as they will, it changes their ability to produce fruit. So we have to go in and surgically remove or trim out parts of that tree that don't fit with our growing situation. And so there's a crew of labor we call pruners that go in at that time. Then once the pruning is done, we get through winter, we come into spring. Like I said, that fruit sets, it begins to develop, and then historically what we would do, we see another huge labor interval. We have to thin that fruit off and take, you know, the lesser fruit, the fruit that's not going to color, the fruit that's going to be problematic as far as growing, and we have to remove it. So we're left with the fruit that has the most potential to develop into the fruit that the consumers want to eat. So that takes a huge labor input at that moment in time. Historically, there wouldn't be much labor between then and fruit or an apple harvest. But what we've done is to try to increase the availability of labor, the availability of jobs. Is most of our large growers have planted cherries, and so by the time they're done hand thinning, those crews can go in and still have a job, and then they can harvest cherries. Once cherry production is done, then they go in and do the hand labor on the harvest of pears and apples. And so that tries to create more of a static workforce. There's been a very cognizant effort on the part of these producers to find ways to keep a sustainable workforce.
Thank you, Luke. I just wanted to make sure our listeners understand the background of that. So, Luke, we talked about some of the challenges that growers are facing today as far as input costs. Um, Maybe there's seasonal challenges as well. Uh, a,
Hmm.
a low yield season, whatever it is, they're always facing challenges that they have to continue to overcome. And so,
Yep.
as a territory account manager, how has your experience been over the years working with growers and helping them oversee these challenges?
A very dear friend of mine says, and he's been working in the fruit industry for 60 years, and about this time every year, his what he will say is, it's 62 years that I've been working in this industry, and it's another unique season. So that being said, what I've been very focused on throughout my career is to look back at the similarities season to season. One of our huge challenges that we're facing immediately right now is that we are anywhere from 10 to 14 days ahead of where we are historically as far as overall development. And that's concerning in that we live in a high desert environment, so we get huge temperature oscillations where it could be 65 in the day, but if it decides to really cool off at night, we could be in the low 30s or mid 20s. And when that happens, and those trees are going through that blossom period, that fruit is the fruit potential is horribly exposed to cold weather. So we really don't know what's going to happen day to day. So we try to do our level best with wind machines and irrigation to provide frost protection, so that we don't deal with a cataclysmic wipeout and lose all the opportunity to produce fruit for our country, for the world. Um, so there's always constant talks of what it is we're looking like, what things are looking like today, and in our history, how have we mitigated against those, or what could we have done when faced with a similar situation, but now with our new tools. And my neighbor, just right across my driveway, he grows a lot of soft fruit, peaches, nectarines, pluots, apricots, cherries, apples as well. But you know, we're he and I almost every afternoon are either looking at his fruit or discussing, because he's a third generation farmer. He wants to be as successful as he can. So we talk about what it is that he's experienced in the past, what new tools that either I'm exposed to or have knowledge of, that we can implement to try to make sure that he has a profitable outcome, so he can continue farming for the next 10, 15 years. So we look at those challenges that we're faced today, and we backtrack to whatever seasonality we've been exposed to in our history, and are not afraid to ask questions of people that were in those situations and exposed it, and what they think worked and what we could do different.
Oh, I love that. And that's really, I mean, right now in this industry, there's a lot of new technologies coming around. Sustainability is a major topic throughout all different regions. And so, what you're doing, Luke, is really, again, I love that the same themes keep coming up in our conversation, is that you're knowing that there's always someone out there that has done it better, right? And learning from what's already happened so that you can continue to improve. And that's what you're doing. You're working with growers, building those relationships to ensure we continue to make things better for years to come. And I think one of the things that I'd like to ask you, because you have, again, that first hand field experience with growers, is how are they receptive to new technologies?
It's interesting you ask that question, because it was something I was reflecting on yesterday. I think that we are seeing growers who are way more inclined to try these new technologies, new solutions to their problems. because they know that as manufacturers, we're working hard to provide them true situational solutions to their problems. Historically, it would be 5 to 10%, let's say, of what we would call early adopters who would try a new technology. Now, I would say that pendulum's kind of swung to where it's 25 to 20% of people that see a new technology, see ways to implement it, and then actively seek guidance in doing those things. So I think that, with the advancement of technologies, people becoming more confident in what it is that as a manufacturer rep we're trying to do for them, they're more willing to go out and seek that advice and try to work with us to implement those two new technologies as to try to stick to the same old status quo.
I think a lot of it could be that your customers, your growers, the relationships that you've built that trust. And so they understand that you're not just there to try to sell a product. You're there to help them. You're there to make their lives easier. You're there to offer solutions to problems that they're facing. And so I think part of that could be too that they're willing to try new things because of that trust and that relationship that you've built with them.
100%. I appreciate the compliment. But it's not only me; it's the team. When they choose to buy a Valent brand, they're getting a sustainable solution specialist. They're getting an FMD rep who's local. They're getting the ability to access a lot of really good information through other personalities who work behind the scenes but are true experts in the field. And I'm lucky in that I've been had the ability to mine those resources for so long that I can help those growers with those, expand my reach through other relationships. It's nothing that I solely own. It's the confidence those growers have built on a company who has really worked hard to put their growers first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have some incredible, very smart people at this company. I can't say it enough. And so, Luke, talk a little bit about those connections that we have with R&D and your sustainable solutions rep and how that relationship works.
In most regards, they're as close to me as my family. Some of my dearest
Love it.
friends too.
Yeah.
We're in constant communication, looking at the seasonality of what we're trying to do, exploring unique situations that need a direct answer, that we have the chemistry in our portfolio to provide a solution. So without that constant interaction with my coworkers and the team, you know, it would be fully self-limiting. And we're just not in a situation we can do that. It's not good for the health of the customer, the health of the grower, the state of the industry if we live within these silos. So we have to, as reps, go out and mine our best resources and work with these tools and raise up the people that are working behind the scenes, because they're really experts in the field of agriculture. They understand what these active ingredients do, what their potentials are, what their limitations can be. And it's the biggest thing that we owe to ourselves and our growers is to go out and actively ask the right questions.
Absolutely. I think it speaks to our culture. So it's one of the things I love about Valent is that we're not too big to where we don't know what our left hand's doing from our right hand, but we're big
Mhm.
enough to where we have incredible technology, very smart people, right? So it's kind of the best of both worlds if you think about it.
100%. 100%.
All right, Luke, I'm switching the topic on you a little bit. What's
Okay.
something you learned that you didn't expect when you first started?
One thing that I've learned that I didn't expect, but maybe something intuitively had told me this is is how closely plant processes are connected, and that we get habitually in this mindset that apples are apples, corn is corn, wheat is wheat. But fundamentally, we're dealing with the building blocks of biology and chemistry. And so that there's a lot of cross correlation between crop to crop. Now that doesn't mean there's not very intrinsic nuances that are not subtle, that are explicitly different. But when we start breaking things down and we understand the fundamentals of how things are impacted, we can take some of that knowledge and develop pretty good theorem around how we can implement certain technologies, certain strategies into a different crop group to really have a larger scale tool than if we set to just one common design, because X is only allowed to equal Y. Well, X could also equal Z if we follow the path of basic chemistry and biology, and then we can have dual impact, even though it's a different impact on one crop group from another. And it showcases itself a lot dealing with the diversity of cropping that I get the chance to look at.
You just talked about really understanding the science, truly is what you explained, the science behind what we're
Mhm.
doing. And so I imagine you've been able to make some major impact for some of our growers in the nation by understanding the X doesn't always equal Y. There's other options. So thinking of that big picture mentality, can you share an example of a moment in the field where you felt like you really made a difference?
I wouldn't say that I made a difference.
This is that
I,
humble
I
mentality we talked about, Luke. You're
I
staying
think that
humble.
I've been in situations. I've been lucky enough to be in situations where I was a vehicle to propose a solution, just based on chance. But um, you know, uh, let's step back to a seed, and it's a pretty revolutionary technology that has a lot of really good economic impact. And I'm just gonna use my neighbor. This example's happened more than once, but he was in a situation where he produces about 5 acres of apricots, and the apricots are an older variety. They overset. Historically, they haven't yielded the quality of produce that he's known for. And we worked situationally last year to develop a solution using a seed that really impacted his crop in a positive manner. He grew a higher quality apricot that was better with sweetness, but also larger in size, using this technology. And I got to be on the forefront of helping him with that. But it wasn't myself alone. It was a combination of knowledge that I'd gained, and we've kind of all learned these things together. But it was a really neat chance to implement something that I knew on a customer that I really value.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's got to make you feel good. And I know you're going to say it wasn't just me, and there's a lot of people involved, but that's got to make you feel good to then see the end result of supporting that grower.
It always is. It's always good to have a victory, right? And that into your younger listeners, I mean, victories aren't a given, but there's the ability to stack the odds in your favor by setting up the right situation over and over again, and knowing that it will prevail.
Luke, you shared a lot of unique challenges about your region specifically and about the nation as a whole. So, as you look ahead, I'm curious about what are you keeping an eye on in your region?
As far as opportunity, the big wins are going to be harder to get. The potato producer is hurting, the apple producer is hurting, the cherry producer is hurting. I think that being cognizant of how each one of those producers can increase their contribution of value to their end consumer is and how they differentiate is something I'm actively trying to be a part of. I think we've trained a consumer now that is very conscientious on fruit quality, and we need to look at how we differentiate what it is we do, so that our produce, our end product to the consumer, it tells a story and meets their goals as a consumer. And that's probably my biggest area of focus right now.
If you could tell the listeners and consumers right now who are listening one thing that you just want them to be aware of or understand more, what would it be?
The consumer needs to understand the level of perseverance that a farmer is going through on their behest. That the grower wants that consumer to have the best eating experience with the biggest nutritional value, with something that they not only are willing for the consumer to feed their children, but they're trying to feed the growers trying to feed their own children and grandchildren, and they're proud of that. So when you look at it in the supermarket, realize there's not only an opportunity to eat, but there's generations of labor and toil and commitment so that we have those opportunities.
Luke, what excites you the most about the future of agriculture? And I know this is a loaded question because we talked about there's a lot of different technologies and innovations happening right now and coming to market right now. So, with all of that, what excites you the most about the future of agriculture?
What excites me most about the future of agriculture is also what I consider one of the biggest threats. With advanced AI in modeling and the ability to mine it as a resource, there's going to be some huge advancements at learning. Now, how we implement that to secure the opportunity that future generations can have the opportunities that I've had, that people around me have had, is scary. Do we just ultimately turn all this over to technology? I think that the opportunities for future generations are to mine that as a resource, but never forget that with biology, with impacting crops, that we need to fill in the story. We need to go out and learn firsthand what it takes to produce the things that we produce. So I think that we've got better tools. We'll have better active ingredients coming that are more sustainable for future generations in the next 15, 20 years than we've ever had. But we have to come at this with a very critical and analytical mind and figure out how we implement those solutions.
All right, Luke, early bird or night owl?
Early bird. Early bird. Like to be up, at least by 5. In the summer, when it gets pretty hot, I like to be up about a half hour before daylight so I can get a couple horses worked and get to my job.
Planner or go with the flow?
Hybrid. Hybrid. People that know me know that there's facets of my life that I plan very finitely. And then there's there's a big portion of me that just likes to enjoy whatever other people are doing and finding a way to fit in.
Solo work or team brainstorm?
Hybrid, hybrid again. Uh, I like to work as a team and collaborate, but I need time to work with myself and understand what I've learned and how to implement it, so that way I can be a stronger teammate.
Favorite crop?
Uh, Favorite crop? It's a tough one. There's so many good ones. I would probably say alfalfa because it's the one that I grow, and I really think the art of developing good hay is a knack. It also feeds my wife and his horses, so you got to stick with what keeps you going.
Favorite animal?
Oh, horse, without a doubt. Winston Churchill said it, the outside of a horse is good for the inside of a man, but I think some of my greatest teachers in life socially have been horses. They're the ones that teach me how to engage personality readily, how that we have to seek to develop understanding, and that no matter who is engaged in a relationship, everybody comes at it with different thoughts and pretenses and emotion, and we have to learn to break down those barriers so we can develop a mutually benefiting communicative style.
One word to summarize a piece of career advice.
Stay humble.
Luke, thanks for sharing your story and what you're seeing out in the field. It's great to hear how experience really shapes the way you support growers.
Man, it's been a real honor to get the chance to learn from my mentors and to serve my grower base and to represent Valent and their brands. You know, I can't say it enough. It's an honor to be the face that gets to represent such a great team here in the Northwest. We're really working hard so that we protect what is most valuable to the grower, not only this year's crop, but the generational reality that they're facing. And I'm not trying to tell people what to believe, but I know that my faith has led me through all these challenges, and perseverance without that faith would be empty. I understand that in modern agriculture there's a lot of challenges, and I think that a lot of these producers are on the forefront of those challenges, and it's tough, but faith and family are the most important things. And when you go to bed at night, reflect on those two areas, and it'll help put that next foot in front of the other.
Well, Valent and growers are very lucky to have you represent us. So keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for joining me today. This has been a pleasure. I've learned so much, and I know our listeners have too. If you're in the Washington area and you need support with your operation, Luke McKee, reach out, Territory Account Manager with Valent USA. Thank you, everyone, for listening to Growing Forward. Be sure to stay tuned for additional stories. Until next time.